Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wonderful Wednesdays. I am your host, Dear James, offering intuitive insights, answers, and advice to your life questions, along with the Lady Jaclyn, who offers her absolute wisdom and expertise on human design. The Lady Jaclyn is off this week, so I am flying solo here with all of you. And I look forward to today's show and speaking to you about all of the current energies and what's happening, and then taking your questions live as we do throughout these shows on Wednesdays. The whole point and purpose is to take your questions live. So when you're joining us, please put a shout out in the comments. That way I know, and the Lady Jaclyn and I know, that you are there. And then share with us what your comments are, what your questions might be. And in today's show, I will answer them from an intuitive perspective. I will listen to the unseen, spirit, source, and symphony, as I say, and deliver to you their wisdom, their guidance, their divine light. So again, welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy to be with you all each and every Wednesday. And then, of course, tomorrow on Science and the Soul on Thursdays. And I have a very special guest tomorrow, and I'll share that a little bit later in the broadcast with you all. So let's dive in. Hello, Dominique. Wonderful to have you here. Thank you for joining us. And let's dive in. This energy is crazy. I don't know about all of you, but the first thing that kind of popped up and came in was this it's like yin yang. It's like push pull. It's like go forward, like this energy of really desiring to move forward, to push through, to reach new goals, to reach our authentic selves. And yet then there's seemingly obstacles or these delays or little pushbacks, and it kind of fits in with the overall energies for today. And so that's a very interesting aspect. Today is March 9th, 2022. So we have this 396. And for many of you, you may or may not know, but Nikola Tesla spoke about the magic, that 369 is the actual code, if you will, or key code to the universe. And so I was looking and I was like, that's so interesting, because 2022 becomes a 6. So 396. And just starting off, and this kind of sums up a lot of where we are and what we've been going through, and certainly in these last 2+ years with COVID and all of this stuff, and now the current events. And it says 396 spiritually means that you need to congratulate yourself for not giving up in your life. Basically, it has not been an easy journey, but your perseverance and patience have earned you a good life. More so, it was good that you started from the bottom and you kept struggling until you succeeded. Equally, the experience you have now will make you unstoppable. And let's just stop and think about that for a moment from a collective and an individual, micro-macro perspective. We've all come so far. We all, bring ourselves from the ground up. And yes, it takes a village. It is not something where we alone do it. And that is certainly true once you become aware that you're really with your soul source connection. When you start leading with your soul, then you really come into an understanding of the fact that we are not alone, and that we are being divinely guided, and that we have a whole team, a whole crew on the other side working with us, so as to bring about this soul self, true self, authentic self. And thereby the ego mind and the personality takes the side seat or a back seat, and your soul self leads. And so you can see where this 396, this congratulate yourself for not giving up. Whatever it may be, you haven't given up. And you haven't given up on yourself, on your life, and so forth, because the journey isn't always easy. Life is messy. I mean, think about childbirth. We come in, it's messy. Death can be messy. We leave in this way. So life in itself is this up and down, this yin yang, this push pull. This is where we are. And we are right at the precipice of the new. And the new meaning, and we're even in that in senses of we are in, the sun is in Pisces. Pisces ends, as I think we talked about last week, it ends the astrological wheel, the astrological cycle. So it is the culmination of everything that came before it. And then we move to Aries. And Aries then begins the new astrological year. We, in the northern hemisphere, we come into it's the spring equinox. We come into spring. Southern hemisphere goes into fall and winter. So we're at this apex, this moment of change. Hello, Jennifer from France. Welcome. Thank you so much. And we have a Facebook user, whomever that may be. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Again, we're taking your questions live. So as I continue with the current energies and what's happening, submit your questions, what you're experiencing with the current energies, any questions that you have that you would like intuitive insights and guidance on. Put them in and or just say hello and tell us where you're joining us from. Again, the Lady Jaclyn will be back next week with us. She's off this week for a much needed rest. And we will be bringing everybody back together next week. And hello, Lori and Dominique. She says, I've been reading a book called Women Who Run with Wolves. Yes, I know this book. Yes, okay. The section I read this afternoon was speaking to exactly this. Leading with the soul instead of the ego. This is so relevant to where I'm thinking I'm finding myself. Yes, 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 yes. When you surrender, and this is so important, this is where the new is going. The new is about our true, authentic selves. And we're going to speak about this tomorrow with my special guest on Science and the Soul. The issue is, all up until this time, we have led with our ego minds. So our personality leads, our ego, our mind. We put on all these masks, all these layers, so as to be enough, so as to have something, or so as to be something, so as. And the new, this moment in time, the new is all about that's over with. It's done. It's old languaging. It's finito, finished. And what's required of us is to surrender, and surrender meaning to empower, come into alignment with our soul self and allow our soul self to lead. And our soul self, and it just popped in so beautifully, is the divine feminine. Think of how the mother nurtures. She is the life giver. She is the one that carries us. This energy has taken a back seat, has been repressed, suppressed, marginalized, minimized, and so forth over a long period of time. And thereby, 2,400 or 500 years. So in all of our known, anybody alive today, in our known history, the divine feminine has taken a back seat. And the divine feminine represents our intuition, our knowing, our inner knowing. And so here we have this whole transition to where that's what's going to come to the forefront, is to lead with an internal knowing. This internal GPS system, it can only go true north. That is the only way it can go. The needle will not move. Your soul will not move off of true north. It cannot. Your ego mind, the ego mind will negotiate, beg, borrow, steal, delay, procrastinate, subterfuge, lie, manipulate, because it thinks it's protecting you, or because it thinks, because it thinks. The soul just knows. The soul is. The divine mother knows. They often say to me, we know little, Source knows all. And so in trusting Source, in trusting our divine soul source connection, our divine partner, this is where it all comes together. This is where the real true gold is. And so it's very interesting. It's very interesting that this is coming to the forefront along with these energies of the 3, 9, 6, and then also this piece about, so I want to say to you, this yin yang, this push pull, like the frustration. I mean, oh my gosh, the frustration, the anger, the hurt, the resentment, which is what we're letting go of. The fear, we're letting go of it. Because March is also about, this month is also about opportunity. Because again, it's at the precipice of the new. It's at the precipice of beginning the whole new cycle, the whole new astrological year and wheel. But more than that, it's about a coming of rights, a coming of passage is the way they're saying it to me right now. And so just jumping in, hello Elizabeth, welcome from France, thank you. Dominique, I love this topic so much. I do too. It's obviously what we're meant to hear and experience today. And Jennifer, the ego acts often out of fear and a desire to protect. 1000%. This is where when you trust something, people will say trust. The entity, the person, the being that you are trusting is your inner knowing, your soul source, your soul source connection. It's not trusting others, it's trusting you. In any given moment, when you know something, you feel it, it's a feel, it's not a think, it's a feel, you know it. And then the only decision you have to make is, do I choose to trust my knowing? Because it's only in hindsight sometimes. It's only in hindsight where the shoulda, woulda is like, oh, I knew not to, or I knew I should, because you knew. There was a knowing. So it's about aligning. This moment in time is about aligning. Surrender the ego mind to the soul. Allow the soul to lead. Allow your divine feminine, your inner knowing to lead. And of course, she has grace and patience and fortitude. And let me tell you, I'm the first one this morning. I was like, ooh, I'm going to need to breathe deep today, because it was just this barrage of things hitting. And you can automatically fall into the anger, the push forward, the want to be aggressive. It's masculine energy, ego mind. Or again, you can just relax into, you can surrender into, here's where we are. What's the opportunity? March is about opportunity. They said a few shows back, come March, we march forward, meaning we move forward. So March is about marching forward, and it is about opportunity. And I'm going to get into that in a second. But I want to tell you, so I'll share with you all. And again, highlight your comments. Please keep putting in your comments and everything. It's wonderful, this exchange and interaction. So as you're listening live, and if you have questions that you are seeking intuitive guidance on, please share them in the comments and we will address them throughout the show. When I sat down to listen for everyone today, for the collective, the first thing I heard was the battle of good and evil versus evil. The willpower to surrender, hold your ground, hold vigil until, and this was so beautiful, a greater light emerges, unfolds, envelops you / the all. And so just stop and think, just the awareness of the fact that a greater light emerges. There is something on the horizon. There is something that will unfold, envelop us, that is a greater light than we currently understand, have, experience. And so, and it is this battle of good versus evil. Now this is going on, right? This is time immemorial, this good versus evil concept and storyline. However, this is saying what's required, that we have the willpower to surrender our ego minds, our old way of thinking, our fear, our lack, our limitation, these masks, these labels and identities that we've placed on ourselves, that we're willing to surrender that, hold our ground, meaning hold steady, hold vigil for the new, hold vigil for what's to be, what is, hold vigil of this truth until a greater light emerges. And we can see this, so we can apply that to our own lives, individual, again, micro. What is required of me? Same thing. It's a battle. Surrender the battle. Use your willpower to surrender, hold your ground, hold steady, hold vigil until this greater light within you emerges, until this soul source connection solidifies. Hold steady. That's what we're talking about. That is what the universe, the unseen, is talking about. Then when we look at the hexagrams that go with today's date, 3/9/2022. So we have the 9. Hexagram 9 is about small influences. What small influences means in the arc of greater change. And it's Wallace D. Wattles. He has this book is 120 years old. It's a trilogy. And he says, small acts in great ways. So hexagram 9 is small influences. What are the steps I can take? Small influences. What are the things that I can do to direct myself and align with this soul source connection, this new? That's hexagram 9, and that's today's date, 9. So it's small influences. The year, 2022, is a 6, and we've spoken about this. Conflict. Hexagram 6 is about conflict. Look at the world, look within. What's the conflict? So like for me this morning, a minor conflict that comes about. It's when I first wake up, and I'm agitated, I'm confrontational with myself and everything, until I surrendered, until I just went, and then, opportunity. Because remember, it's always happening for us, not to us. So what's the opportunity? What's the gift? And that means I just have to surrender. I have to align. I have to come into this. That's what's required. Then we get to 3 and 9. So March 3, today 9, it's a 12. 12 is about standstill. Hexagram 12 is about standstill. And there you go. There's that frustration. We all want to move forward. We all want to shed this old, this past, just even the past 2+ years, because the lessons are painful. The process can be painful, but the fruit is good. So, the results, and yet it's not about going back to something. It's about moving to something. The way to is through. So we want to go forward. We want to go to something. And so you can feel this, and that is the masculine Mars energy, like, let's go, let's go, let's go. But Mars also represents war. The divine feminine, Venus, represents love, empathy, compassion, harmony, the new. So you have this conflict. And yet 6 also represents destiny. It represents spirit and service. So you can see how on one hand, the old, I'm using my left hand, the old, is that it's about aggressiveness and, aggression and masculine and driving and taking what I want and, this kind of just draconian way of going about things. And we can see this playing out right now on the world stage. And then on the other hand, on the new hand, the right hand, we have this opportunity to align, to be more, to be better, to receive. The feminine is the receptive force. To listen to my soul source connection, my true north, and which way is it guiding me, and go with full faith and confidence and trust. We just simply have to release the old. We have to let the ego, and it's not a battle. This is really important. Oftentimes we say it's about eradicating the darkness or eradicating the ego and so forth. No, it's about purifying them. We need both. We need a good, healthy mind. We need a strong, healthy soul source connection. So it's not about, we need the beauty, the purity of the void as we do the purity of the light. So it's not about eradicating darkness or eradicating these, the shadow. It's about purifying them. It's about purifying both so as to come into a beautiful yin yang. I started off the show, yin yang, the beauty and the harmony and the balance of yin yang, masculine, feminine, light and the void. That's what is on offer. That is the Aquarian age. So this is where we're headed. So 12, the standstill, it creates frustration because we're not yet there here. It's like we're between worlds. We're between energies. And we're getting a flux, an influx of both of them. I don't know about you all. If please let me know that if this is resonating. I'm giving you what I'm receiving and so forth. So please share in the comments what you're experiencing and so forth. Coming into the last part, the number 18, because the whole thing culminates in the 9, but the 18 is repairing, hexagram 18 is repairing the damage. Here we are. So we can see, here's the opportunity on the world stage on what's playing out right now. Repairing the damage. You can see the youngest generations, bills are being passed in the US that minimize, marginalize, denigrate subsets, if you will, or minorities. And the youngest generation is saying, no, no, no. It's the oldest generation trying to hang on to, cling to the old. And the youngest generation coming in is saying, oh, no. This is not the way the world is. This is not the way. No. Because they're, for lack of better words or phrasing, predestined for the new. They're pre-wired. They already know the world is going to be far different in a very harmonic, balanced, empathic, loving, giving, kind way. It doesn't mean it's free of challenge, but the challenges become different because the world is different, because we're different, because we're choosing to align with our soul source connection, our divine mother, our divine essence. And thereby, and it is not an abandonment, again, for all men listening, and here I am, I'm one of them. And it's tough for all the women. I want to share this with you all. As the divine feminine rises and the divine masculine, in essence, falls, meaning because the balance needs to, it's going to reorg itself. It's going to recalibrate. There is a propensity to feel, the divine masculine can feel left out. The divine feminine, the women are saying, oh, finally, it's finally my time, my turn. I finally get to rise. We all just need to be mindful with one another that as this equilibrium gains, or we gain our equilibrium, we recalibrate. Be mindful of how we go about doing it. Be mindful of how we speak and interact with one another. Because both sides, for the men, it's coming to terms with making space at the table. For women, it's about their empowerment. It's about coming into fullness, which is your divine, absolute divine equal right. Should have been there all along. And yet, for whatever divine master plan purpose, this was the plan. This was the journey that we all chose to walk. So as we move forward, let us do it with grace and alignment to our soul source selves. Dominique had said, wow, I was definitely meant to be here today. I've been experiencing such similar energies. Yes, that's how, exactly, Dominique, that's how I was like, oh, can I do today? And I'm like, yes, you can do it. And then Anne says, hello. Yes, resonates. I call it living the mystery when I just have to trust and be ready. Love this book. Yes, I agree. Love the book that she mentioned earlier. And yes, this is living the mystery. That is such a beautiful way, Anne, because it is. And again, it's only in, I say that it's only in hindsight that we get the affirmation or the confirmation, because many times we get the knowing and then we just have to proceed. We have to go forward in trust, in living the mystery, and just trust and be ready. And so this is all, yes, this is all in alignment with what's happening and these kind of push-pull energies that are happening. And again, micro, macro, we're seeing it within our own lives and on the world stage. So when I looked at the 3, 6, 12, and 18, all these hexagrams, the numbers, small influence, conflict / destiny, standstill, repairing the damage. And I said, okay, what's the overall message about that? And they said, endings into beginnings, Pisces into Aries, Piscean into Aquarian. It's literally, they're saying to me right now, it's literally like revelatory, transitionary. It's our epic transition. And then they spoke about that, and by the way, 396 also means tolerant and humanitarian. There's a humanitarian crisis occurring, and the 396 means tolerance and humanitarian. Both of those are positive. So it's speaking, it's calling us to tolerance. It's tolerance meaning so as to not engage in conflict, so as to transcend conflict. Humanitarian, to be one, not to be in a humanitarian crisis, but to be a humanitarian, to see our fellow human beings, to see our fellow souls, our fellow brothers and sisters, to see one another. Because if you ask any soul what they want most, and they'll say to be loved, but to be loved is to be seen, to be heard, to be seen, to be recognized. No judgment, no community, meaning exclusion or like-minded. Oh, we accept you as long as you're like us. To be seen is I am, to be. It's unity, not community. Community can be exclusive, can include exclusion. It can be exclusionary. Unity is oneness. Unity is. And every soul wants to be seen. And to be seen, you need to be a humanitarian. You need to be able to see without any judgment, restrictions, exclusions. I am. That again is new. And then lastly, they said, there's an epic battle being waged. Battle lines, and they underlined this. They made this so very powerful. They said, so there's an epic battle being waged. Battle lines have been drawn. It was a very strong fait accompli that these battle lines have been drawn. And when they're just now, it's like from the cosmos perspective. So from the grand of the grand, the whole of the whole, the battle lines have been drawn. And they said, psst, like that, psst. The outcome is already determined, assured. Do not lose faith. And so while we struggle, while we are in, as Anne said, living the mystery, do not lose faith. We are collectively moving forward. Never, and I don't know if there's anybody that, can say otherwise, never have I seen the world or our history regress. I believe it's Martin Luther King that said the arc of justice is always bending forward. It may be long, but it bends forward. We move forward. When we look back at history and we see how from one era, from the great wheel, the procession, it arcs forward, which is kind of funny because the procession is counterclockwise, which I would say to all of you, my experience has the astrological wheel goes clockwise. Procession goes counterclockwise. Procession is the great year is comprised of the 12 signs of the zodiac, 2,500 plus years per sign. And when it completes the full cycle, that's considered the great year. And what's so ironic about it, and what I wanted to share was, I would say to you that counterclockwise is the real ascension. It's counterclockwise. I'm taking my hand and moving counterclockwise in a spiral motion upward. When we drill down, we drill clockwise. So when we ground or we root, it's clockwise. When we ascend, aspire, ascend, it's counterclockwise. The great year procession is counterclockwise, which means the arc of that, the positivity of that, it's assured that we move forward. It is assured. It cannot be any other way. And thereby, they're saying to us this epic battle is being waged. Battle lines have been drawn. And then, the outcome is already determined, assured. Do not lose faith. And I needed that. I needed that this morning. I don't know about all of you, but there's moments. We're all human. We're all living the journey. So, living the mystery. We're all walking the journey. And this is about the way. The way. There's only one the way. We might have our way. Lots of us have had our way. But there's only one the way. And the way is onward. The way is ascension. The way is I am. It is harmony and balance and unity and oneness and so forth. And we've bantered those terms around in the wellness community and so forth. However, what makes this time different? There's something really profound going on. And perhaps it's because in our lifetimes, we sit at the precipice of this change, of this transition from Piscean to Aquarian, from patriarchal to matriarchal. So we're literally living the transition, the change, the ascension. We can see on the world scale how the old is trying to hold on. They are trying to keep us down and back or go back and remember when and la 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 la. And yet go back and look in history. And you can see each time the great wheel, the sign changed from Taurus to Aries to Pisces and now to Aquarius, you can see the advancement and you can see where those that were in power tried to cleave to that old way, that old power. And yet what happened? History proves what happened. Away it went. Gone. It left. So the old doesn't remain. The wheel advances. Period. Have a nice day. Mic drop. That's it. So coming back in, Nikki, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And such beautiful words today. Thank you. It's not me. I listen and I let the unseen speak. And it literally makes me emotional in this moment because I think we're all a bit weary. We're all a bit tired. I don't know about all of you. I'm naturally an optimistic person, happy, joyful type. And yet in this moment, weary, tired, like okay, can I take another step sometimes? And and it's very contrary to my own normal energy and person, way of being. And yet it's speaking to the moment. It's speaking to what we're all going through. And all of us are wanting, seeking and desiring joy, happiness. And one can say this return to joy, this return to happiness, because perhaps pre X amount of years, it all felt happy. It all felt a little carefree and normal and nice, and people gathered, and you went about your lives, and there was joy. And somehow that absence of joy, this just kind of grind that we have all been going through. And they're showing me the old stone mill, the old wheel, stone mills with the wheel, and it's that the weight of it, the weight of the stone grinding like it would grind corn and meal and so forth. But imagine the weight of those stones grinding. And it's a perfect visual for me of this energy, of this. There's opportunity, there's something that does positively come out of it. The corn is, the meal is being made. So there's something of opportunity, there's something of value, there's something that will nourish us and feed us. But in order to receive it, we have to go through the grinding process. We have to repair the damage. We have to take small steps and so forth. There's all these things happening. So this is, ooh, what a bunch of current energies. I don't know about all of you. I'm just, it was really interesting today. So let me catch up on the comments here. So Dominique, this really resonated. I've recently gone through a very, a very tough internal battle, and it was only through an inner knowing and at the time seemingly ignorant belief that everything would be okay because it was already predestined. So let's talk about, I just want to touch on that. So yes, it will always come down to your inner knowing, not your mind, not monkey mind. If it's loud, if it's negotiating, if it's denying, if it's, la 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 la, chatter, 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 it is not your soul talking. It's your ego mind, your personality. There's nothing wrong, because the ego mind and the personality wants to protect you. Yes, okay. And it also wants to know, this is why I said it's not about eradicating or killing it or whatever. It's about purifying it. So say thank you. Make peace. When the ego mind is doing that, just stop and say, okay. I see you. I hear you. I love you. And I'm going to listen to my soul. I need you to quiet yourself, because my soul knows. I think, but my soul knows. And when my soul knows, it's a knowing. You can get an entire understanding of something like in a knowing, in a nanosecond. You don't have to talk about it for 10 hours or 10 days or 10 years. In a nanosecond of knowing, you can get the entire picture. Truth speaks for itself. There's a beautiful statement about the truth becomes a part of your past, the lie, your future. So think about how much a lie, how much energy, how much effort, how much talking, how much thinking to continue the lie, how much energy and effort that takes. The truth is effortless. The truth becomes a part of your past because it is. So there's a beauty here in the sense that when we're looking at all of this with Dominique's, so the part of it is the knowing, and then seemingly ignorant belief that everything would be okay because it was already predestined. Life is never about, so yes, there are in the great tapestry, soul tapestry, it is the most divine, exquisite. I sit in awe of the universe, because when they talk about being omniscient, omni everything, there is no other master weaver that could weave such a tapestry. It's just mind-blowing, and it's impossible. So in that sense, are things quote unquote predestined? Meaning, did our souls all come together and say, I'll play this role, you play that role. I want to experience this, you experience that. This is where we're going, da 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 da. Yes. That does not mean, however, that we just sit back and do nothing. Well, it's predestined, so I'll just wait for it to arrive. And see, there's the small influences. There's the willpower. There's the active and the receptive. There's the, and sometimes knowing to hold, to wait. That's not doing nothing. That's actively listening. That's actively being engaged in your knowing, in your soul source connection, so as to be guided, so as to stay true north. So that is a beautiful piece, Dominique, and I thank you for bringing that up in today's show and discussion, because there's a misnomer that either people believe that it's not predestined, or they challenge the fact that it's predestined. Well, then where's willpower and what are we really doing and so forth? Or that with this misnomer of, well, and if it's predestined, then I don't have to do anything because it's just going to happen. No. It is the beautiful, intricate tapestry of this truth. And thereby, we are actively co-creating. We are active co-participants. We are sparks of the divine. We are souls in a human body having a human experience, living the mystery, walking the journey. And the goal is to be in alignment with the way. Not our way, not your way, not his, her, whatever, not someone else's. The way. And the way is the tapestry, the plan, and you can see it. You can sit back in the awe and the mystery of it when you kind of step back for a second, surrender, align, and you're going along. Okay, I know to hold. Okay, now I know to go forward. Okay, now, and then as you're going, again, hindsight, as you're going along, you go, wow, wow, because I, ego mind, personality, would have done X, Y, Z. But because I was just in alignment, because I was listening, being, hexagram 17, follow, be led. Follow, be led is soul source, divine connection, guiding you, divine GPS, not mind GPS. And thereby, wow, you can sit back at the awe and you're like, who, how? The synchronicity of it, the beauty of it, the protection of it, it's unbelievable. And it does require our participation. It is absolutely actionary on our part, but the action can be inaction in the moment. You can know to wait. You can know to say no, N-O. You can K-N-O-W to N-O. You can know to know. That's actionary. So Dominique said, I needed that too. Thank you. You're most welcome, Elizabeth. I feel like everyone who is awakening, they are finding one another. It feels like every person I have met in the past year has begun walking beside me. It's so beautiful. Yes, because, Master Jesus is the one that says, for those with eyes to see and ears to hear. And so the more and more and more we each align, we each elevate, we each come into allowing our soul to lead. And this is true. They're saying to me right now, on an epic scale, internally, each of us, our divine feminine, knowing our divine feminine, our soul source selves, our authentic, true divine being selves, is going to rise. It's rising within us. There are those that are taking the small steps, the active participation, to bring it about more rapidly, to be in alignment with it quicker, more broadly, more deeper. And as that amplifies, then the people coming in amplify, because energy attracts like, it's energy. Everything's energy. So it's all coming. So yes, Elizabeth, you'll find that the more active you are in that, your own transition, in your own movement from the masculine to the feminine, and again, it's not about eradicating. It's about harmonizing and balancing them. But it is about lead with my soul source connection, and relinquish my ego, my mind. Relinquish meaning, whew, thank you, have a rest, but we all need a healthy mind. We all need discernment, not judgment. Discernment. We all need this healthy mind, this healthy ego, so as to be in alignment and one. And they're reminding me of something as well. In the new, where our minds and our souls and our hearts feel disconnected, separate entities, and we've had in our terminology mind over matter or heart over head, or these idioms. The new is where the three are integrated. It's like the Trinity. The mind, the soul, the heart, it's one. So you'll just instantaneously know it's right. There will be no disconnect, no separation between your triad. It's going to be all wholly integrated. And all of a sudden you're just going to have these like, oh, I just know to do it. And you'll be aware. I've had this happen where I just know to do it. There's no separation, no juxtaposition, no conflict. There's no discussion, no monkey mind chatter. You just know and you go. And you're kind of aware, you go, wow, I'm aware of the difference of that. They're harmonic, they're one. They're operating as one, as opposed to disconnected, disparate, in conflict, or challenge with one another. It becomes unified, unity. Nikki, she said, I'm so pleased to finally be here. It's been a few weeks. Yes, and we're thrilled to have you back with us, Nikki. And congratulations, Nikki, on you embarking on your authentic self. There was a post about that. Nikki just launched some of her holistic work and so forth, and becoming her authentic self. And no matter what field that takes, that's what's on offer for everyone. Aligning and becoming your true soul self. You often hear, what would I do if? And the if is always like, if I had this, or if I had that, or if I was this, or if. This is all about be. This is about aligning with your authentic self. Who are you when that doesn't matter? Because that's what's happening. That's the shift. That's what's on offer. And look how COVID literally helped. You see it in the headlines, how people left their jobs, these jobs and whatever, and they went out and became or did. I left this job in corporate America to go bake cakes because my soul really wants to bake cakes. Before COVID, they would never have allowed themselves to do it. Post-COVID, coming into it, the end, it moved people to become their authentic selves, to relocate, to go move, to say enough. I'm going to go do this now. It's magic. It's, walking the mystery, as Anne said, is painful. It can be painful because you're walking the mystery. We have to make peace with it because there's a gift. There's always a gift. We just have to be open to seeing it and finding it. Ava, hello everyone. Nikki, yes. Nanosecond, absolutely, exactly that. Knowing in a nanosecond, and I love that because you can just know you can know everything in a second. Dominique, love everything that you're saying. Right back at you all. Thank you so much. And we are co-creators indeed. Dominique, in awe of this. Love. Literally reset my intentions this morning that I set at the beginning of the year. Likely set with my ego mind, and I brought it back to something as simple as I choose to align with God's will. God's will, the way. For me, I believe in God. So I believe that if I choose to align with this will, I will simultaneously work to all my desires and as such, attract all those things into existence. Yes. So let's talk about that really quickly. Aligning with the way, God's will, and not from a religious standpoint. Put aside religion and let's talk that it's all faith. So whether it's Buddha, Allah, God, whatever the source is about faith, and it's about aligning with the way. And it's also, in addition to that, about the fact that when we realize, so ego mind would have us believe that this is my life, I do this, me, I. You get where I'm going? When we align with the way, then we come into a greater wisdom about the fact that we are custodians of these lives, this experience. We are co-creators. We're divine co-creators. We are divine, sparks of the divine. And it's what comes through us. So we don't have to compete for something because it's already ours. Whatever we are the custodian of, that's all I need to place my focus on and my energy. I don't need to worry about what so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so's doing. If I'm doing that, I'm upstairs. I'm in my ego mind. I'm in a completely different lane and field. I'm looking externally. I'm outside of myself. And now I'm telling myself that I should be this or I should be doing that and da-da-da-da-da. Well, all of that means I'm disconnected. I'm not listening to what is already mine, me. Soul source, custodian of this experience. So in Dominique's example, okay, God, okay, source, what is my life experience? What am I the custodian of? And note the beauty about being a custodian. When you're a custodian, something is within your care. Typically, most people, when something is within our care, we have a more heightened awareness. We have a more heightened attitude, responsibility to it because it's something that's within our care. When it's just us, quote unquote, well, see, notice we sit back, we relax, we kind of let our guards down, and we don't do as well because our mind is telling us, well, I got to go compete and I got to do this and I'm blah, 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 blah. It's bouncing us around. But when we're the custodian of something, when something is in our care, we care more, we do more, we come into ensuring that it's something good, well. It takes on a greater depth. And so this is really important because once we do that, and also, I don't know about all of you, my personal experience with that awareness is it drives me to do more, to be better. And it also then relaxes me in the sense of, because it's not about me, I'm focused, I'm calm. I have a greater sense of peace, even though a greater sense of responsibility. But because it's no longer about me. The ego mind me, it's not involved. What's involved is my care of something. That's what matters. That again, look how that ties into the divine feminine. How they said at the top of the hour, we're coming into this era, and the divine mother, the divine feminine, she is the ultimate custodian. She's the custodian of the all, of the whole. And it's like she's so deeply, and again, it's going to make me emotional. This return to that, to us all having a greater sense of care, of realizing we are custodians of our lives, of our experience, of what comes through us, the divine coming through us. And thereby, what do we do with that? And how do we effectuate that experience? And it will change you. It will absolutely change you when you start to see that your life, you are the custodian of. You are not it. You're the custodian of it. And it's really beautiful. Nikki, thank you so much. Debbie DeBritt, thank you for your messages of truth and hope. Would love a message from Spirit. So Debbie, I'm just listening for a second for you. They're saying for you to, So there may be some personal challenges, struggles, and so forth that you're interacting with or facing with family members or people that are friends that are considered family and so forth. Um, Life moves, next life decisions, and they're wanting you to walk and act with grace. They're doing the, like, hold your head up high, walk with dignity, with dignity and grace, and also determination. So they're saying it need not be all or nothing. There's room for compromise. There's room for grace. However, that doesn't mean that you need not. They're like, you need not be roadkill. You need not be like ran over by the bus. That's not required of you. What is being asked, what is required of you, is to simply act and walk with grace. Be authentic. Be your authentic, true self. What's theirs is theirs. That's not yours to worry about. That's not your responsibility. They show up as a mirror for you to act in an authentic way, to be your authentic self. What is good and right for you may not be for them, and that's okay. They're giving me this, like, when you leave they've often said, the universe, the unseen has often said, it's not that you leave something or you leave a relationship. It's not the why you leave, it's the how. The how matters. The why is just the means. It's the why is just the vehicle. But the how matters. And that's what they're talking about. So whatever this personal issue is, Debbie, that feels a little more imminent and familial, meaning either it's family or with people that you consider to be family, walk with grace and ease, be authentic, and do right by you. That's what I'm hearing for you. Let me know how that resonates for you. And Nikki, yes, COVID was the start of me seeing what I truly wanted. Indeed. And look again, the grinding, the process that we have all gone through as a world, that COVID has put us through, the loss of life, loss of jobs, loss of, there's a lot of loss. And yet that's not the point of it. The point isn't about the loss. It's about the awakening to our true selves. To, is this the job is this it? Is this my life? Is this, or am I meant to do something else? Am I willing, the will, do I have, as they said, the willpower to surrender, hold your ground, hold vigil until a greater light emerges, unfolds, envelops you / the all. And again, that can be applied in a micro personal example like Nikki just shared. Here is this. It allowed you to see yourself so as to expand, so as to surrender, so as to come into a greater light, your true authentic soul self. So thank you. We're coming up at the top of the hour. I thank you all so very much for joining us today with me, but I always include the Lady Jaclyn because this is Wonderful Wednesdays, as some of you have coined. And as I indicated, the Lady Jaclyn is off this week. She'll be back with us next week. And we absolutely love these opportunities to come together and to discuss what the human design, what the gates are talking about, what the unseen is sharing with us as for the collective, and how it impacts each of us and how we learn and grow and expand from one another. So thank you to all of you who join. As we've often asked, if you are inspired to, please like, share, subscribe, tag people, so that we expand the movement, as Elizabeth was spoke about and spoke to, that you find yourselves more and more attracting. That's what we want this to become and be, is just the expansion of this kind of joy. And last but not least, two things. One is we have the private Facebook group, so we're going to do a lot more in that group as we get going with it. So if you haven't already joined, please do. If you're moved to and inspired to, if there are people that you would like to include in the group, please forward that out to them. And lastly, but not least, tomorrow's show on Science and the Soul, we will have our first featured guest. It is Debbie Wilson, who is a spiritual entrepreneur and the creator of Endless Essences. And she does soul essence readings based on the soul purpose system. Fascinating system. We'll get into that tomorrow. It is eerily accurate. You're going to hear me say that today, and you're going to hear me say it tomorrow. And it's just really the point of doing featured guests on Science and the Soul, of bridging practical and spiritual, is to bring about, again, greater awareness of divinations, modalities, wellness tools, resources, things of this nature that will bridge the practical and the spiritual. And harmonize. You can see this. So tomorrow with Debbie will be unbelievable, not to be missed. So please join us tomorrow. And just some closing notes. Anne said, thanks so much. Ava, thank you very much. Dominique, thank you so much for all the lovely messages. Lori, thank you for another wonderful Wednesday. I love that. Thank you, Lori. I needed to hear these messages. And Elizabeth, thank you, James. So insightful. Ditto, ditto, ditto. Truly from our heart, from my heart to yours. You guys are amazing. And this is such a gift in reciprocity. To have you all share with us and share your light and just be in this space. So thank you all so much. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow and then again next week. Nikki, thank you. Another great live. Again, right back at you. Thank you all so much.